In a sunny neighborhood filled with laughter and excitement, a group of kids gathered one Saturday morning, buzzing with energy and ideas. Their mission was clear: to raise money for an upcoming school trip to the Science Museum. They decided that the best way to achieve this was by setting up a lemonade stand right in front of one of their houses. The kids set to work, each contributing to their little venture. Jamie squeezed fresh lemons while Mia mixed in sugar and water, creating a deliciously sweet lemonade. Alex drew colorful signs that read, "Fresh lemonade, $1, and decorated the stand with bright streamers. Their enthusiasm was infectious as they imagined all the fun they'd have on their school trip. As they set everything up, they could already picture the smiles on their friends' faces when they stopped by for a refreshing drink. The sun shone down, perfect for a lemonade stand, and the kids eagerly awaited customers. They were filled with hope, not just for raising money but also for the joyful experience of working together. Little did they know that their sweet endeavor would soon attract unwanted attention. The lemonade stand was a vibrant sight, bursting with color and energy. The kids had worked hard to make it inviting. They placed a large table covered with a bright yellow tablecloth, which seemed to shine under the warm sun. On top of the table, pitchers filled with sparkling lemonade caught the light, making it look refreshing and delicious. Jamie had even added slices of lemon floating in the lemonade, enhancing its cheerful appearance. Mia made sure to keep cups stacked neatly beside the pitchers, ready for eager customers. Alex's colorful signs added a special touch. One read, "Chill out with a cup of lemonade," in bold, playful letters. Another sign proudly declared the price, only $1. As they set up, the kids exchanged excited glances, their faces lighting up with smiles. They could hardly wait for their first customer to arrive. The aroma of fresh lemons combined with their laughter created a joyful atmosphere that filled the street. With each passing moment, their anticipation grew. They imagined all the fun they would have at the Science Museum, making this stand not just a way to raise money but also a memorable experience in teamwork and friendship. Just as the kids were starting to feel the thrill of their lemonade stand, a shadow fell over their colorful setup. Karen, a strict member of the Homeowners Association, marched down the sidewalk with a determined look on her face. She was known in the neighborhood for enforcing rules and regulations, often with little regard for fun or creativity. Upon spotting the stand, her expression soured. "What do you think you're doing?" she shouted, stomping over. The kids froze, confused and worried as they glanced at each other. Karen's voice cut through their joyful atmosphere as she began to rant about how their lemonade stand violated HOA business restrictions. "You can't just set up shop here. This is not allowed," she yelled, pointing an accusatory finger at them. The children felt their excitement quickly drain away, replaced by anxiety. They had no idea that their innocent plan would draw the ire of someone like Karen. As she continued her tirade, threatening to call the police, the kids stood silently, some shocked, some trying to hold back tears. Little did they know that this confrontation would soon spiral into something much bigger than they could ever have imagined. Karen stood over the stand, her hands on her hips and a scowl etched across her face. "This is completely unacceptable," she shouted, her voice ringing through the neighborhood like a thunderclap. The kids exchanged worried glances as they struggled to understand what was happening. "You can't just set up a business without permission. This violates HOA regulations." Despite the bright sunshine and cheerful lemonade stand, an uncomfortable tension filled the air. Karen pointed at their colorful signs, claiming they were disrupting the community's harmony. "What will the other residents think?" she continued, her voice rising. The children felt their smiles fade as they listened to her tirade. One of them, Jamie, summoned the courage to speak up. "We're just trying to raise money for our school trip. We thought it would be fun." But Karen didn't seem to care about their intentions. She was focused solely on enforcing the rules she so fiercely believed in. She pulled out her phone and threatened to call the police, insisting that they needed to put a stop to this illegal activity. The kids stood frozen, their hopes for a fun day crumbling under Karen's harsh words and unyielding attitude. As Karen threatened to call the police, the children's anxiety heightened. Fear washed over their faces like a sudden storm cloud blocking the sun. They never intended to cause trouble, they just wanted to have fun and help themselves get to the science museum. Jamie's hands trembled as he clutched the table, while Mia's eyes began to fill with tears. The cheerful atmosphere that had surrounded the lemonade stand seemed to vanish, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Karen continued her rant, her voice echoing as she repeated how they were breaking the rules. "You think this is a game? I'll have you shut down," she warned, staring them down. The kids felt smaller under her intense gaze, wishing they could somehow disappear or turn back time to avoid this confrontation altogether. Just then, a few neighborhood kids who were passing by stopped to watch the commotion, curious about what was happening. Their puzzled expressions only added to the kids' embarrassment. Determined not to let Karen's anger spoil everything, Jamie finally mustered enough courage to speak up again. "We're just trying our best," he said softly, but his voice barely made an impact against Karen's fierce demeanor. Each word began to feel like a desperate plea rather than a confident stance for their fun day ahead. Just then, the sound of sirens pierced the tense air as a police car pulled up to the curb. Karen straightened up, her authority seemingly bolstered by the arrival of the officers. The kids' hearts raced, unsure of what would happen next. But as the officers stepped out of their car, their expressions quickly softened when they saw the lemonade stand and the worried faces of the children. "What's going on here?" one officer asked lightly, glancing over at Karen and then back at the kids. Before Karen could respond with her usual sternness, another officer noticed the colorful sign that read, "Fresh lemonade, $1, and raised an eyebrow. "Lemonade, you say? That sounds refreshing," he said with a grin. To everyone's surprise, both officers decided to support the kids instead of siding with Karen. They walked up to the stand and began buying cups of lemonade. Jamie's eyes widened with joy as he served them, his nervousness melting away. The atmosphere shifted as laughter replaced tension, and other neighborhood kids began gathering around to watch what was happening. Karen stood there in disbelief as she watched her plan fail. The cheerful chatter and laughter filled the air once again, proving that community spirit could easily overshadow strict rules. Karen's face flushed with frustration as she watched the officers enjoy their lemonade, laughing and chatting with the children. The scene that had once seemed under her control was now spinning away from her grasp. "This is ridiculous," she muttered to herself, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Despite her authority, she felt powerless as the officers exchanged high fives with the kids, clearly enjoying themselves. "Calm down, Karen," one of the officers said amiably, as he took a sip of the refreshing drink. "Let them have their fun. It's just lemonade." His words echoed in her ears like a taunt, making her blood boil even more. She couldn't believe what she was witnessing. The very situation she had tried to squash was thriving thanks to the police's support. With each giggle and cheer from the children, Karen felt smaller and more isolated. She glanced around at the growing crowd of neighbors who had gathered to watch, many grinning at the joyful scene unfolding before them. The laughter echoed in her ears like a mocking chorus, reminding her that this wasn't just about rules, it was about community spirit. Finally, as more neighbors joined in to buy lemonade, Karen realized that her stance was not just unpopular, it was becoming increasingly irrelevant. While the laughter continued, one bystander, intrigued by the commotion, pulled out their phone and began recording the scene. The camera captured not only the children joyfully serving lemonade but also Karen's escalating frustration as she stood on the sidelines, arms crossed and visibly upset. As she shouted her disapproval, it was clear that her attempts to shut down the stand weren't having the impact she intended. Later that evening, the bystander decided to share the video on social media, unknowingly setting off a chain reaction. The clip quickly went viral, drawing attention from people across the country who were outraged by Karen's behavior. Comments poured in, with many praising the kids for their creativity and community spirit while criticizing Karen for being overly harsh and unyielding. As the views skyrocketed, news outlets picked up the story, featuring clips of both Karen's confrontation and the kids enjoying their successful lemonade stand. With each passing hour, Karen's embarrassment grew, and she became a trending topic of conversation. She had gone from being a strict rule enforcer to the unwilling star of an online phenomenon, one that spotlighted her actions in an unforgiving light. Suddenly, her reputation took a nosedive, sparking national conversations about community spirit and kindness. As the video of Karen's confrontation continued to spread across social media, it sparked a wave of sympathy for the kids and ridicule for her. People from all over the country voiced their support for the young entrepreneurs, praising their creativity and determination to raise money for their school trip. Hashtags promoting kindness and community spirit began trending, and many shared their own stories of childhood lemonade stands and the joy they brought. Meanwhile, Karen found herself at the center of a public outcry. Memes surfaced, depicting her as the lemonade villain, while others humorously suggested she needed a lesson in community values. The laughter echoed through online platforms, creating a stark contrast to her earlier attempts to impose strict rules. Local news outlets picked up the story, interviewing neighbors who praised the kids and criticized Karen's harsh approach. Many residents expressed disbelief that someone would react so negatively to a simple childhood endeavor. As public sentiment turned against her, Karen's actions not only led to her personal embarrassment but also prompted discussions about the importance of nurturing creativity and supporting young people's dreams. The situation escalated to a point where the Homeowners Association faced pressure to address her behavior, ultimately leading to consequences for Karen's standing within the community. In the wake of the public outcry against Karen's actions, the Homeowners Association held an emergency meeting to address the situation. Residents filled the room, passionately discussing what had transpired and the impact it had on their community. Many expressed their disappointment in Karen and her harsh treatment of the kids, emphasizing that nurturing creativity and kindness should be prioritized over strict adherence to rules. After much deliberation, a vote was called, and it became clear that community support for the young entrepreneurs was strong. The majority of members agreed that Karen's behavior was unacceptable and that it undermined the spirit of their neighborhood. As a consequence of her actions, they decided to remove her voting rights within the Homeowners Association. This decision sent a powerful message about community values. It reinforced the idea that kindness and support for children's initiatives should take precedence over rigid regulations. The kids, buoyed by the overwhelming support from their neighbors, felt a renewed sense of pride in their lemonade stand. They realized that not only had they raised money for their trip, but they had also inspired a wave of unity in their community. Their small act of entrepreneurship had blossomed into something much larger, reminding everyone of the importance of working together in a positive spirit. In the aftermath of the lemonade stand incident, the community began to reflect on the powerful lesson learned. What initially started as a simple fundraiser for a school trip evolved into a heartfelt demonstration of unity and support. Neighbors who once barely exchanged pleasantries found themselves coming together to champion the creativity and spirit of the kids. Local businesses even started offering mentorship programs for young entrepreneurs, aiming to inspire future generations. This experience shone a light on the importance of nurturing young dreams. The children now had a newfound appreciation for their efforts, realizing that their lemonade stand symbolized more than just raising money. It represented resilience in the face of adversity. Community members often stopped by to share their own stories of childhood ventures, fostering connections that extended beyond the lemonade stand's table. Moreover, the situation encouraged discussions about how communities could better support initiatives led by kids. Parents began organizing workshops where children could learn about entrepreneurship and responsible business practices while having fun. Ultimately, this event became a catalyst for change, ensuring that future budding entrepreneurs would have the encouragement and resources they needed to flourish, reinforcing the value of creativity and collaboration in nurturing a vibrant community. In the end, the lemonade stand debacle became a shining example of how kindness can triumph over strict rules. The community's response showcased the collective power of support and solidarity, turning a tense situation into an opportunity for growth and understanding. The children not only raised the funds they needed for their school trip but also ignited a wave of inspiration that rippled through their neighborhood. As neighbors rallied around the kids, sharing their stories and experiences, it became clear that nurturing young dreams was far more valuable than enforcing rigid regulations. This sentiment resonated deeply with everyone involved, reminding them that collaboration and enthusiasm could create a vibrant environment for creativity to flourish. The workshops and mentorship programs that sprang up in response represented a commitment to helping future generations dream bigger and work towards achieving those dreams. Through their small act of entrepreneurship, the kids transcended the confines of their original goal. They sparked important discussions about community spirit, the significance of kindness, and the necessity of supporting young minds. Ultimately, this incident united the neighborhood in a way they had never anticipated, fostering friendships and connections that would last long after the lemonade had been served. It was a triumphant moment for everyone involved, one to be remembered for years to come.